Welcome back on the AM show. Now, something happened yesterday that we cannot miss. The Ghana Police Service says it has started a search for a gang of 4 robbers who attacked a bullion van at Ablekuma Fan Milk, a suburb of Accra, on Thursday. The robbers, according to the police, shot the officer who was providing an escort for the van. Now, the police in a statement said the officer subsequently passed on. May his soul rest in peace. We're going to interact now with Mumuni Mukhtar, Executive Director at the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. Mumuni Mukhtar. A very good morning to you, sir.
Hello, good morning to you and good morning to your viewers and listeners.
This has happened time and again. You remember the last situation, in fact, the last 2, we started speaking about it when that young police officer was gunned down. We don't even want to picture that again. Then there was a lot of talk about using armored vehicles and the prerequisites and all of that. But here we are again having to deal with this one in broad daylight. What is your initial reflection on this?
Well, first of all, I would like to express my sincere condolences to the bereaved families, the family of the victims, and the entire, Ghana Police Service. I think that we have condoned too many security breaches when it comes to, the issue of bullion vans and its safety in this country. There have been too many errors. We've tolerated too many errors. The issues of compliance relating to bullion van safety in Ghana, we have actually failed to do this. Exactly 2 years ago, if you remember, in June 2021, we recorded a similar attack that generated a lot of conversation, around the issues of, connivance of officers within the service, the security breaches relating to carton of money, within the city of Accra. These things we failed. We failed in terms of taking, the opportunity at the time to ensure compliance. If you remember, the central bank at the time issued a directive regarding standard operating procedures and how banks going forward should be dealing with money. This is people's investment. This relates and speaks to the heart of the people, the economy of the of people, the security of the nation. The Ghana Police Service also gave directives and actually warned that they will not be able to provide security protection for banks that fail to procure the right bullion funds. And of course, subsequently, we saw attempts by some of the banks, to procure the standard, bullion funds that we know that are foolproof, that can secure, individuals in it, including police officers. And so today to have this incident happen with this kind of makeshift bullion fund, it's a huge embarrassment and an indictment on all of us in terms of state actors relating to securing our officers from duty relating to this. The police officer, in my estimation, given the videos that we have seen, did not have any bulletproof attire on him. We didn't see him act in the manner that a combat-ready officer should act. We saw that the glass was rolled down. We saw that the door was not secured. And probably because the driver took off earlier, if it is a central locking system, once the driver takes off, some vehicles, it means that the other doors could be unsecured at the time. But if you're a police officer properly trained to deal with situations, combat-style situations like this, you would see some kind of action relating to it.
Just a quick intervention. Is it irresponsible on our part? Because we've had, interestingly, a lot of young police officers, practically fresh in the service, lose their lives. Is it irresponsible for us to be, so to speak, putting them in harm's way by assigning them to these bullion services when we know these are not armored vehicles and we don't even give them the right protection? Is it irresponsible for the state to be doing that? The Ghana Police Service as well?
I think we have failed in our duty to ensure that, we secure, the protection of officers were put in this situation. Like I mentioned, the armored, we don't have any armored, attire, bulletproof attire on him. We didn't have him or see him act in the manner that you would act in a situation like this. And the driver himself, and I think that's one of the important aspects for us to look at. I sense, some sort of, there's some suspicion in terms of how the driver acted in this situation. First of all, you do not stop at any point to refuel your vehicle. And what we're being told is true, that the vehicle stopped for refueling. If that was the case, it was a huge security breach in terms of cutting money within the city of Accra. Second of all, you saw the driver reverse upon seeing these individuals. If any driver who is properly trained to deal with this situation, at that moment, your instinct is not to reverse. Your instinct is to take flight,
speed off,
and also possibly use the vehicle as a weapon against the coming attackers. We didn't see anything like that. What we actually saw is that he fled the scene first. He was the first to flee when it happened, and that allowed the criminals, the armed robbers, to do what they did. And so there's some sort of, I would say suspicion in terms of the conduct of the driver in this instance.
And I'm thinking along with you, I mean, it's logical that if you're being attacked, you would want to move the vehicle because that is what you're secure in, even if you're being fired at. Some people have hit people on motorbikes and all of that because going with arm and limb is riskier than going with the cage you're in, which in this instance is the vehicle. But these assailants have bolted with these sums of money and they are being pursued by the Ghana Police Service. What are the next actions that you'd like to see from now till, God willing, they are apprehended?
I think, first of all, we need to have a willing public.
We need to have a what?
Forward. A willing public, people willing enough to come forward with information, volunteer information on these individuals. Some of these individuals, people know them. People who see them on the video would be able to tell. People who, may have come across them should be able to come forward and volunteer information. We need that, and we need that as soon as like yesterday. So we need that to support police officers to apprehend them, to ensure that this individual face justice. But moving forward on this issue, we need to ensure full compliance. We have been very lax. There's been serious level of laxity when it comes to the issue of compliance. The oversight role of the central bank, here has been clearly violated. We need to have the central bank crack the whip and ensure that people or banks that do not comply with procuring the right bullion vans would be sanctioned and ensure that it's biting enough to ensure that all banks and financial institutions cut money using the appropriate vehicles and standard operating procedures when it comes to the security of the vehicles and individuals involved.
Now, we have specifically on armored vehicles. We have had a lot of talk about it. The last I recall, the central bank said something about the regulations, what sorts of vehicles have to be used, and all that. We still don't see a lot of these armored vehicles. We know how expensive they are, but how expensive is a human life? Can we put a cost to it? The answer is no. So in terms of that regulation and what we have said we would do over time, how do we go about it now with this killing? Because it always is a knee-jerk reaction. Something happens, then we talk about it, and then we go to sleep.
Exactly. We need leadership. This is a situation that requires leadership to prevail on authorities who are meant to exercise, power and ensure that right things are done. We are not seeing it. And I feel that, there is really nothing extraordinary to do about this than ensuring that you prevail on, organizations, the financial institutions, to ensure that they comply. The business of money is expensive. And so if you talk about the expensive nature of bullion funds, of course, it's expensive because it's meant to secure the interests of people, to secure lives. And if you're not ready to provide that, it means that you're not ready to...
Your call has been put on hold.
working with the central bank to ensure that they have, they give them timelines they must comply with, and ensure that once they procure those vehicles, the standard procedures must not be compromised, and ensure that these individuals who are put in these vehicles to deliver, carton of money services, they do so peacefully and do so without harm.
Mukhtar, we're grateful that you took the time to join us this morning for this conversation. Rather sad development from yesterday, and our hearts go to the families of these police officers, especially the one who lost his life. But this is becoming one life too many. How do we stop it? Mumuni Mukhtar is Executive Director at the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. He shared his thoughts with us on this matter. But stay with us. We're moving away from the sadness of that to the joy of the JoyNews Impact Makers Awards. More on that after this break.